Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome all of you to the BW Real 500. To begin our evening, I'd like to request Mr. Anurag Batra, the Chairman, Business World and GBN Media, to please come up on stage to deliver the welcome address.
I just like to welcome all of you to the BW 500 event. And we are just custodians of the brand BW. We have a great editorial team led by Mr. Prasenjit Datta. And I just want to tell you that we do everything to build on this brand, to keep its values intact, the editorial values that BW stands for, build on them and make it a multi-platform business media brand. Thank you once again for being here.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to the first BW 500 celebrations. The BW 500 was an exercise to identify and rank India's biggest companies, and it started about a decade ago. But this is the first time we are holding a gala event to felicitate some of India's biggest and brightest companies. When we first initiated the exercise to identify the companies, almost 12 years ago, the overall research size was much smaller. In the first few years, we used to look at only two parameters, asset base and turnover of companies. In the last few years, the size of the BW Real 500 has grown to such an extent that it is almost impossible to accommodate all of it in the magazine alone. As a result, we have started putting a lot of the data that we analyze on our website, businessworld.in. Thank you once again for joining us.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now have our panel discussion entitled Growth versus Profits, What to Safeguard in a Slowing Economy. I'd like to first introduce you to the moderator for this discussion. It's Mr. Pradeep Chaudhary, former Chairman, State Bank of India. I'd request you to please take your seats up here. And I'd now like to introduce you to our esteemed panelists. We have Dr. Habil Korakiwala, the Chairman, Wockhardt, Ms. Kaku Nakate, President and Country Head, Bank of America, Mr. Rashesh Shah, Chairman and CEO, Edelweiss Group, Seshagiri Rao, Joint MD, JSW Steel, and Mr. Shekhar Bajaj, Chairman and MD, Bajaj Electricals. So ladies and gentlemen, please give all of them a big round of applause. All right, so I'd like to hand this session over to our moderator, Mr. Pradeep Chaudhary.
The topic is that in a slowing economy, what would you prefer, growth or profits? We start with our friend Mr. Seshagiri Rao.
Profitability is the topmost priority which has to be taken into account. So there I think the organizations have to be prepared in a manner that whenever cyclicality comes in, so they remain profitable.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rao. I think you have your eyes focused strongly on profits. Now we come to Mr. Korakiwala.
A growth is something which has to be there for any organization to survive on a very long-term basis. There is no other way you can grow. And if your organization is strong and you have taken the right calls in terms of strategies, in terms of creating organization, in terms of identifying opportunities and the markets, irrespective whether economy is slow or fast growing, I think your organization will do better than the rest.
I think Mr. Korakiwala has given a wider expanse and a broader horizon to the issues that no matter how the environment is, you have to keep growing. Now we come to Mr. Rashesh Shah, who of course generates growth but also advises on growth and profits. So it would be interesting to get his perspective on the subject. And in fact, this is at a time when his advice, which is otherwise could be so expensive and private, is available to everybody.
Thank you, sir. I think it's an ongoing question. I think even in good times or in bad times, ideally, obviously, all companies want to grow profitably. You want a top line growth and the bottom line growth. I think free operating cash flow has become almost like a mantra for all the companies that I've seen. And I think in this time where capital is hard to come by, liquidity is squeezed, cost of capital is high. So I think profits at this point of time seems to have an upper hand overall. But this is not the time to be ambitious. This is a time to be slightly more conservative and focus on cash flow and profits.
Thank you, Mr. Shah. I think you brought in another very important parameter, that is free operating cash flows. Mr. Bajaj, what would be your take how to set the direction for the company during different stages of the business cycle?
What we feel that when things are slowing down and the top line is not coming sufficient growth is not coming, there are other three areas on which one works to get profitability. One is margins, second is working capital, and third is costs. So when things are there, you have to tighten your belt by reducing your cost, controlling your working capital, and trying to improve your margins. Thank you.
Now we have somebody who is very eminently suited, Kaku Nakate from Bank of America, the largest, perhaps one of the largest banks in the world. We are all very keen to hear you speak on this subject.
The biggest thing is to be able to envisage that a downturn is coming. At any point of time in business, it's important to dissect the business. There are worldwide different ratios. So not only people look at return on equity, but growingly people are now looking at return on assets. And that's what I think we need to build in when people are going to be investing in us, or when people are going to backing us up. And that's a new paradigm shift which we need to get adjusted in India.
Thank you, Kaku. You brought in another perspective, that is the return on asset. Next I come to Rashesh. My question to you would be that you are in the financial services, you finance a lot of businesses, whether by debt or by equity, but a banker has to know about all trades. I'm giving money to this person in textile, how is he doing? So, does a bit of that happen to be in your current business?
What we are seeing right now in India is quite a few companies are asset rich and liquidity poor. What has happened, cash flow has become very, very crunched. So the idea is, as our credit markets are growing, we need a lot more structured approach, a lot more calibrated approach, which is case by case, including on distressed assets. When you are restructuring, there is no one size fits all. So I think increasingly things are becoming a lot more customized, a lot more structured, a lot more calibrated. And I think in the long term, this is going to be very good for Indian industry.
Thank you. I think I'll turn to Mr. Korakiwala, and my question to Mr. Korakiwala would be that yours is a business which requires a lot of investment in research. Your company being research oriented, how would you look at the investment into research, both people and money? Would you be guided by the current situation or more about the future?
I think, as I mentioned earlier, that in our industry, if you think in terms of quarter, you are dead in no time. And the kind of investment we do in research, for example, our company went through a lot of financial distress a few years back. But that was one area we did not cut down our expenditure is on research and a commitment. And I can just tell you generally about our Indian pharma industry. 10 years back, in United States, in the whole generic market, which is roughly about $100 billion market, the share of Indian pharma was less than 2%.
Right.
5 years later, it became 7%. Today, it is more than 15%.
Good.
Now, what does this really show? That at the end of the day, the cycles up and down comes, but it is your competitiveness which organization create, and in this case India is very well. It's not one company doing well, but it's series of Indian industry as a whole is doing there.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in thanking our moderator and our esteemed panel.
There is no denying the fact that India's private sector has contributed hugely to the growth of Indian economy.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call Mr. Anurag Batra and Mr. Prasenjit Datta to please welcome our honorable chief guest, Mr. Praful Patel, the Minister of Heavy Industries and Public Enterprises, and to do the launch of our application.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Business World's 500, top 500, as you have come out in your edition, certainly showcases the best of Indian industry, public sector, private sector, and I think there is no denying the fact that India's private sector has contributed hugely to the growth of Indian economy. India still has the largest ability to grow. Everything in our country has moved over the years. Where we started and where we are today, we are completely in a different world, in a different mold. And Indian companies cannot be complacent anymore to think that we can only look inward and we can sustain and grow only on the basis of what is available in the market in India. As there's no market which is limited to India. We are in a global situation. We need to work together. Government and industry has to work together. Everybody has to understand that we are partners in growth. India has a great future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for that very compelling and informative address. I'd like to invite Mr. Anurag Batra and Mr. Prasenjit Datta on stage to do the honors. Ladies and gentlemen, we are moving along to our felicitation of the winners of the BW 500. So if we're ready, I shall begin with the first category. We have the BW Growth Leader Award, which is awarded to the company who does display the biggest income growth. So ladies and gentlemen, the winner for this award is Indian Oil Corporation Limited. The category was the BW Growth Leader Award. Our next award is the BW Capitalist Award, and that is awarded to the company with the biggest asset growth. So ladies and gentlemen, the winner for this award is Reliance Industries Limited. Our next award, ladies and gentlemen, is the BW Money Machine Award. That is given to the profit leader in this industry. We have the winner as KN India. Our next award is the BW Nation Builder Award, which is awarded to the PSU leader. And the winner for this category is once again Indian Oil Corporation Limited. Congratulations. Our next award, ladies and gentlemen, is the BW Hidden Gem Award. So that is awarded to the unlisted leader by income. And the winner for this category is Nuclear Power Corporation. Congratulations, Nuclear Power Corporation. Our next award is the BW Financier Award. So that is awarded to the financial leader. And the winner of this award is State Bank of India. have the BW Investor Max Award, and that is awarded to the market cap leader. Ladies and gentlemen, the winner for this award is Tata Consultancy Services. Our ninth award is the BW Socialist Award, and that is given to the biggest employer. Our winner for this category is Coal India. Congratulations, Coal India. Our next award is the BW Wealth Sharing Award, which is being awarded to the biggest dividend distributor. And the winner is Hero Moto Corp. Our next award, ladies and gentlemen, is the BW Cooper Award, awarded to the company with the highest reserves. And that award goes to Reliance Industries. 10 years. And that goes to, once again, Indian Oil Corporation Limited. Congratulations. With that, we conclude our felicitation ceremony. Thank you very much to the Honorable Chief Guest, Mr. Praful Patel, Mr. Anurag Basta, and Mr. Prasenjit Datta. And of course, congratulations to all the winners. At this time, I'd like to invite Mr. Gurbir Singh, the Senior Associate Editor of Business World, to please deliver the closing address.
Ladies and gentlemen, we would just like to thank the distinguished chief guest, Honorable Mr. Praful Patel. Thanks very much. I would also like to thank the moderator, Pratip Chaudhary, former Chairman, State Bank of India, and all the panelists for the scintillating and very interesting discussion that we had on stage. And finally, I'd also like to thank all our partners, our media partners, Exchange for Media, Digital Market Asia, Everything Experimental, and television partners CNN, IBN, and creative partner Collab Studio. And of course, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for taking your time off from the busy schedule to celebrate this occasion of the companies that have performed and delivered. Thanks very much.